What happens when a mayor's 25-year-old son assaults a wounded Marine veteran at a gym, mocks his prosthetic limb as a creepy robot arm, then walks into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom interrupting the judge 8 times and demanding, "Can we hurry? My dad has a city council meeting." This entitled young man is about to learn that some disrespect toward judges carries consequences. Some mockery of combat injuries causes instant emotional devastation. And some arrogance is so explosive that it forces a mayor to resign live on camera during a city council meeting within 90 seconds. But what makes this case devastating isn't only the assault or even the 8 interruptions. It's what happened when 29-year-old Marine Corporal David Sullivan showed his Purple Heart and explained how he lost his arm saving his unit from an IED in Afghanistan, and the mayor's son still checked his watch and asked, "Is this almost done?" Then Judge Caprio made one phone call to a live city council meeting that ended a mayoral career on camera in front of hundreds of constituents. It's a Thursday afternoon in Providence Municipal Court. Brandon Taylor, 25, son of Providence Mayor Patricia Taylor, stands facing assault charges stemming from an incident at Elite Performance Gym 3 days earlier. The victim is 29-year-old Marine Corporal David Sullivan, medically retired, who lost his right arm above the elbow in combat in Afghanistan. He wears an advanced prosthetic arm, clearly visible. According to the report, David was working out when Brandon began making hostile comments about the prosthetic, calling it strange and unsettling. The confrontation escalated. Brandon shoved David from behind, causing him to fall and suffer a back injury. When Providence police officer James Park arrived and attempted to arrest Brandon, Brandon was dismissive. "Officer, my mom is Mayor Patricia Taylor. I help coordinate her city council meeting tonight." This guy was waving his robot arm around and making people uncomfortable. "Can we deal with this later?" Officer Park arrested him anyway, but Brandon's repeated references to his mother's position and the upcoming council meeting immediately created political tension. Now Brandon enters Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom, and everything about him radiates privilege and contempt for the process. He wears casual but expensive clothes. He checks his smartwatch constantly. His phone is in his hand. He scans the room impatiently, like someone with far more important places to be than criminal court. Behind him sits Mayor Patricia Taylor herself, dressed professionally, visibly uneasy. Judge Caprio notices everything: the watch, the phone, the posture, the impatience. Every detail is a warning sign. The bailiff calls the case, the State of Rhode Island versus Brandon Michael Taylor. Charges: assault and battery on a person with a disability. Judge Caprio looks down at the file. "Mr. Taylor, how do you plead?" Brandon barely looks up, glancing at his watch. "Not guilty, Your Honor." "Look, I get that we have to do this, but can we move quickly? My mom, the mayor, has a major city council meeting at 6 tonight. I help her prepare." "Mr. Taylor," Caprio says firmly, "I asked for your plea, not your schedule." Brandon blinks, surprised at being corrected. "Right. Not guilty. Your Honor, the guy at the gym had this robotic prosthetic arm thing. It was making people uncomfortable. I suggested he maybe use the private training area. He got aggressive." Corporal Sullivan is called forward. A man approaches the bench. He is 29 years old, wearing short sleeves that reveal where his right arm once was. From above the elbow down is a modern prosthetic, mechanical, artificial, functional. His left arm is intact. His posture carries Marine discipline. His movements reveal back pain from a recent injury. Judge Caprio's expression shifts immediately. "Respect, gravity, Corporal Sullivan, thank you for your service. Please tell the court what happened." David's voice is steady, precise. "Your Honor, I'm Marine Corporal David Sullivan, United States Marine Corps, medically retired. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan. On my second tour, my unit encountered an IED. I saw it before detonation. I pushed 2 Marines out of the blast radius. The explosion took my right arm above the elbow. The courtroom is silent. I spent 14 months at Walter Reed. I learned to use this prosthetic. It allows me to function, to grip, lift, train. 3 days ago, I was at Elite Performance Gym. I've trained there for 6 months rebuilding strength. I was bench pressing. This prosthetic is designed for that." He gestures toward Brandon. "This man approached me. He stared at my arm. Then he said, 'Dude, that robot arm is creepy. Can't you work out somewhere else?' David swallows. I told him it was a prosthetic. That I lost my arm in combat. He said, 'I get it, but it's making people uncomfortable. It looks weird. Maybe use the private area.' I told him I had every right to be there. He said, 'My mom is the mayor. I know how public spaces work. Your robot arm is disturbing other members.' I turned away. He shoved me from behind. I fell. Falling with one arm is dangerous. I can't catch myself properly. I injured my back. David's voice tightens, he said, maybe next time you'll take a hint about that creepy arm. Before Judge Caprio can respond, first interruption, Your Honor, Brandon blurts out, I feel bad he fell, but can we speed this up? My mom's meeting is in, he checks his watch, 4 hours. Traffic, dinner, Judge Caprio's face hardens, Mr. Taylor, did you just interrupt a Marine's testimony about losing his arm in combat to discuss your dinner plans? Brandon looks genuinely confused, Your Honor, I'm just being realistic about time. My mom is the mayor. City council meetings matter. This was just one gym incident. And that moment right there is when the courtroom realizes something irreversible has begun. Can we just get to fines or whatever and wrap this up? Mr. Taylor, Judge Caprio snaps, you will not interrupt these proceedings again. David continues calmly, Your Honor, he called my prosthetic arm creepy and a robot arm thing. He told me to hide it from other gym members. This arm represents 14 months of rehabilitation, learning how to function with one arm, learning how to live after combat. Brandon interrupts, second interruption, Your Honor, I didn't say hide it. I suggested the private training area. That's different. He checks his watch again, 3.5 hours until the council meeting. Can we please move faster? The courtroom murmurs in disbelief. Judge Caprio rises slightly from his chair, Mr. Taylor, that is 2 interruptions. One more, and you will be held in contempt. Brandon raises his hands defensively, Your Honor, I'm just trying to manage time. My mom needs me. This guy's fine. He's here. He's talking. The arm works. Can we settle this? Judge Caprio signals toward the screen, play the gym security footage. Immediately, third interruption, Your Honor, do we really need video? I acknowledge there was contact. Can we skip this? He checks his watch again, I really need to get to my mom. Mr. Taylor, Caprio says sharply, sit down and be quiet. The video plays the Elite Performance Gym. Weight area. David working out. The prosthetic arm is clearly visible and functioning. Other gym members nearby, unbothered, Brandon enters. He stares. Approaches. A long exchange. David's face shifts from confusion to hurt to anger. David turns away as Brandon shoves him hard from behind. David falls awkwardly, unable to brace himself with one arm, crying out in pain. Gym members rush in. Brandon walks away without helping. The video ends. Brandon immediately, fourth interruption, Your Honor, the video makes it look worse. He checks his watch, 3 hours 15 minutes. I really need to wrap this up and get to City Hall. Judge Caprio's voice booms, Mr. Taylor, you have interrupted this court 4 times over a city council meeting. You are here for assaulting a Marine who lost his arm saving his unit. Your mother's meeting is irrelevant. Brandon exhales, clearly annoyed, Your Honor, respectfully, my mom's meeting isn't irrelevant to me. She's the mayor. The city budget is being approved tonight. If I'm not there to help, it affects thousands of residents. He gestures toward David, this Marine is fine. But the city needs, David stands for the first time, Brandon truly looks at the prosthetic arm, the mechanical joints, the unnatural motion, the permanent absence of flesh. David speaks quietly, steadily, Mr. Taylor, do you know what an IED explosion feels like? Brandon shakes his head, uneasy, it's instant. 1 second you're walking patrol. The next there's fire, pressure, and pain beyond anything you can imagine. The courtroom is frozen. I woke up in a field hospital. My arm was gone. Just gone. I was 26 years old. I spent 14 months learning how to eat with my left hand. Button shirts with one hand. Tie shoes with one hand. Live in a world built for 2 arms. Brandon starts to speak, fifth interruption, look, I get it. Losing an arm is hard, but, he checks his watch, Your Honor, 2 hours 50 minutes. Can he make his point faster? Judge Caprio's tone is lethal, Mr. Taylor, that is 5 interruptions. If you speak again without permission, you will be removed from this courtroom. David's voice strengthens at Mr. Taylor, you called my prosthetic arm a creepy robot arm. You told me to hide it. You said it made people uncomfortable. This arm cost $80,000. It took 6 months of training to use. It lets me grip weights, open doors, shake hands, hold objects. It is a miracle of engineering that gave me back part of what that IED took. And you called it creepy. Brandon tries again, sixth interruption. I just meant, he checks his watch, Your Honor. Can we please? And that is 6 interruptions. Judge Caprio snaps, one more word, Mr. Taylor, and I will cancel your mother's meeting with jail time. David reaches into his pocket with his left hand and removes a small case. He opens it. Inside is a Purple Heart medal. Mr. Taylor, this is the Purple Heart. The United States military gives this to service members wounded or killed in combat. I received this for losing my arm while saving my Marines from an IED. You called that arm creepy and told me to hide it. Brandon stares at the medal. The reality finally starts to land, and while I'm standing here explaining how I lost my arm in Afghanistan, David continues, you've interrupted this judge 6 times to complain about your mother's city council meeting. Brandon's face softens, real remorse. Finally then, 7th interruption, Corporal Sullivan. I'm sorry about your arm, but he checks his watch again, Your Honor, 2 hours 30 minutes. If we could just, Mr. Taylor, Judge Caprio says coldly, you just apologized to a Purple Heart recipient and immediately interrupted again. David's voice cuts through the room, Mr. Taylor, when that IED exploded, I didn't have time to check my watch. I had seconds to push my Marines to safety before losing my arm. And when I was at Walter Reed, learning to live with one arm for 14 months of brutal therapy, I didn't complain about how long it took. I worked, because that's what Marines do. He pauses, prosthetic arm exposed, Purple Heart in his real hand. You know why I lost my arm in Afghanistan? Brandon shakes his head, finally not looking at his watch. I lost my arm so Americans could have city council meetings. So mayors could govern. So people like you could complain about schedules without worrying about IEDs or insurgents or whether today is the day you die. Can we please finish? Judge Caprio explodes. 8. Mr. Taylor, you just thanked a Purple Heart Marine for his service and then, for the 8th time, interrupted this court to discuss your mother's meeting. For the first time, Brandon truly understands the weight of what he's done. His face drains of color. Horror replaces arrogance. Judge Caprio makes a decision that will end Mayor Patricia Taylor's career live on camera. Clerk, Caprio says firmly, I need an immediate phone call. Contact City Hall. The city council meeting should be starting shortly. I want to speak with Mayor Taylor during the live broadcast. Brandon's panic deepens. Your Honor, you can't interrupt the city council meeting. It's broadcast live. Hundreds of people are watching. Mr. Taylor, Caprio replies coldly, you interrupted a wounded veteran's testimony 8 times. Your mother can handle 1 interruption. Minutes later, a voice comes through the speakerphone. The background noise reveals a large chamber filling with people. This is City Clerk Robert Martinez. Your Honor, the City Council meeting is scheduled to begin in 10 minutes. This is highly unusual. Mr. Martinez, Caprio responds, I need to speak with Mayor Taylor immediately regarding her son's criminal case. Put me through during the meeting's opening. Your Honor, the meeting is broadcast live on television and streaming. I'm aware. Do it. A brief pause, then the speakerphone fills the courtroom with unmistakable sounds of a public meeting, chairs scraping, papers shuffling, voices echoing. Mayor Patricia Taylor's voice rings out, polished and official, good evening. I call this meeting of the Providence City Council to order. We have an important budget. A voice interrupts her, Mayor Taylor, you have an urgent call from Judge Frank Caprio regarding your son. Confusion ripples through the chamber. What? Mayor Taylor asks, startled. Judge Caprio speaks clearly and deliberately. Mayor Taylor, this is Judge Frank Caprio in Providence Municipal Court. You are on speakerphone in my courtroom, and I understand I am also on the live broadcast of your city council meeting. Mayor Taylor's tone remains professional, but tension is unmistakable. Yes, Your Honor, you are on our live broadcast. This is unprecedented. What is happening with Brandon? Mayor Taylor, Caprio says, your son Brandon assaulted Marine Corporal David Sullivan, a Purple Heart recipient who lost his right arm in combat in Afghanistan. Brandon lowers his head. Your son called the corporal's prosthetic arm a creepy robot arm and told him to hide it from other gym members. Murmurs spread through the city council chamber. In my courtroom today, Caprio continues, Brandon interrupted these proceedings 8 times, demanding we hurry because he needed to help you prepare for tonight's city council meeting. The chamber goes silent. He checked his watch while the corporal testified about losing his arm saving his Marines. A sharp inhale echoes through the speaker, and when the corporal displayed his Purple Heart and explained that he lost his arm so Americans could have city council meetings, Brandon interrupted again, his 8th interruption, asking us to please finish so he could help you. Absolute silence from City Hall. When Mayor Taylor finally speaks, her voice is shaking. Your Honor. Brandon interrupted you 8 times during a Purple Heart Marine's testimony? Yes, Mayor. To prioritize my meeting? Yes. And he mocked a combat prosthetic arm? Yes. And told the veteran to hide it? Yes. Background noise erupts, gasps, whispers, stunned reactions. Mayor Taylor turns her attention to the chamber. Citizens of Providence, she says, voice breaking, you are hearing this at the same time I am. My son assaulted a wounded Marine veteran. He mocked his prosthetic arm. He disrespected a judge 8 times to prioritize my city council meeting. She pauses, fighting emotion. I cannot continue serving as your mayor after this. I cannot lead this city knowing my son believes his mother's meetings matter more than a Marine sacrifice. Her voice cracks, effective immediately. I resign as mayor of Providence. Vice Mayor Rodriguez will assume my duties. I have failed as a mother and as a public servant. Exactly 90 seconds after the call began, Mayor Patricia Taylor resigned live on camera in front of hundreds of constituents. In the courtroom, Brandon collapses into sobs. Mom, no. Please. This is my fault, not yours. Mayor Taylor's voice returns through the speaker. Brandon, you interrupted a judge 8 times. You mocked a Purple Heart Marine's prosthetic arm. You used my position to justify disrespect. That is my fault. I raised you. Judge Caprio turns to Brandon. Mr. Taylor, your 8 interruptions ended your mother's mayoral career live on camera. Here is your sentence. Assault and battery on a person with a disability. 2 years in county jail. 5 years probation. 500 hours of community service at veterans organizations. Mandatory education on military service and disability respect. And full restitution to Corporal Sullivan. Brandon serves his sentence in jail and in veterans facilities. He meets wounded warriors. He learns what service truly means when he is released. He dedicates his life to veteran advocacy. Years later, he meets Corporal Sullivan again. Corporal, I called your prosthetic arm a creepy robot arm. I told you to hide it. I interrupted Judge Caprio 8 times during your testimony. I checked my watch while you explained losing your arm saving your Marines. You showed me your Purple Heart, and I still asked to hurry. My arrogance ended my mother's mayoral career live on television. I'm sorry, David. David, prosthetic arm visible, Purple Heart on his chest, accepts Brandon's hand with his real left-handed. Brandon, he says, you thought city council meetings mattered more than a Marine's arm. Now you know better. Not everyone who serves comes home. But we all come home hoping people understand what was sacrificed. If this story moved you, subscribe for more moments where Judge Frank Caprio proves no meeting, no schedule, is more important than respecting those who served. Remember Brandon's interruptions 8 times. 8 times he chose schedules over service. That is the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio. That is the sacrifice of Corporal David Sullivan. That is the integrity of former Mayor Patricia Taylor. Justice served, career ended. Respect learned, veterans honored.